I wish. Where's the dollar? Where's my dollar?
That would be nice.
Cool.
In due time, I think I'm kind of cool with it not being monetized. Just chill.
Imagine that stress.
Oh hell no, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, sponsors expect you to post every whatever.
Yeah, no thanks. I did that with my car page. I'm not. I'm not trying to do that. Oh, you got to post about us in your stories. You got to post on your actual like Instagram. It's like, no, I'm good. It's a
Yeah,
little
my
bit
job is
taxing.
stressful enough.
Hmm.
Said my job is stressful enough. I don't need my hobby to also be stressful.
Especially for you.
No thanks. Oh God, yeah.
Me, my shit's pretty chill. Oh, um, I don't know if I should say the good news now or wait a little bit. No, I'll wait a little bit till
Tell
people
us at
start
the
popping
end.
in.
It'll be
Huh?
like a present.
Huh?
Tell us at the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm gonna wait for. Some good news.
Look, guys, I can clap now.
Oh yeah, I just realized.
It's under. I have a band right
Oh,
here
okay.
to keep me from like going all crazy.
Is
I
it still
start
like
therapy on Monday.
nice? Can you even
It
go
hurts.
like full straight?
I can, but it hurts.
Oh, okay. So they
So I
still
don't.
say it's a bruised bone or like a tendon or something there?
So yeah, the joint is bruised. I'm 79 years old.
Like you fell and you couldn't get up?
I need a life alert on the sidewalk.
I need some help.
That's messed up.
Hey, next time you go skateboarding, you probably need it.
Yesterday, I survived.
Luckily. Mm-mm-mm.
Let me see. Did I harass my friends? Let me harass my friends.
But do you actually like hit them up individually or do you just like post it?
I
Expect
post
them to
it, and
pop up.
usually they pop in, but sometimes I'll harass them. Yeah, so right now I'm gonna harass some people.
My fucking Instagram is so sad now. When I used to post all the time, like, goddamn, it was lit. Now it's just
I
like,
remember getting the notifications from when you were tagging me in them. I'm like, Jesus.
it was like every single one that I was doing.
I know. And now if you go through my tagged photos, it's all your car. I'm like somewhere 3 years at the bottom. It's so funny.
That shit used to be stacked. I think I used to max them out with like 20 tags or something like that. That was the
Oh,
way you would
really?
network.
It's 30 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It yells at me every time I post something on our page.
Tag
It's
more
like, you
people.
can only post with 30 hashtags. Please stop. And I'm like,
Oh, 30 hashtags?
yeah.
I was saying tags like tagging people.
Oh, that I don't know because I don't
That's
like
weird.
that.
You can only do 30 hashtags. I used to max my shit out. Like, I think it would
Yeah.
just be like as much as I could fit writing in it. Like, if I was just to do a caption, I would make my caption short and then flood it with hashtags. Super short.
Oh, that's why I noticed restaurants started hashtagging, but they would post it as the first comment on their own post.
That's actually pretty smart.
Now I know why. All right,
Oops.
there we go.
Should we get it started?
Sure.
I guess I'm taking the reins today since this is more my topic.
You are, but if you would like some clinical insight, I'm here.
Bet.
And experiences from like the kids I work with, just not really me personally.
That's true. That's true. Should we get started?
I don't know, is it just us watching us?
I think so.
Hello, selves! What a lovely day.
Yeah, I think it's just us.
Yo, what dentist y'all go to?
Oh shit, you
Like,
froze.
Colgate Smile. Damn it. I am. Ew. And like the stupidest, when I was scratching my neck for real,
Oh shit.
No one is home to use the Wi-Fi but me. I don't understand.
What
Let
else
me
is
check
using the Wi-Fi? Do you have your? Are you using your PC right now?
my
Huh?
my computer and my phone. That's it. Ooh, what if let me see if my 5G will work.
Hey, didn't you do that last time? And it helped.
Um,
Oh,
I don't know. Let's find out. I changed the Wi-Fi network. Let's see if I come back to life. I'm still frozen. Why am I still? I'm.
maybe refresh it.
Hello. All right, let me turn this off one more time. I'm gonna turn the Wi-Fi off on my cell phone. Now I'm coming back.
Voila.
Now that be the last
Magic.
time. I don't put my makeup on so I can have a stupid frozen face.
I mean, even if your face is frozen, your makeup would still show.
Right. Maybe I'll
Facts.
freeze like this. Damn, that highlighter though.
See, it's starting to look more just like a. It's like a blonde, not so much like it's glow in the
Oh,
dark.
yeah. It'll still glow. It's yellow, but it's washing out for sure. I've already picked my next hair color.
What color? Or is that a secret?
Should it be secret?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Oh, we have a third viewer. Oh my god. I'm serious.
Oh my god. Who that?
Oh, we have two other humans. Hi, two other humans.
Yes, sir.
Now we can get started.
Think so?
Why not? Everybody else will figure it. Yeah, it's already 7-11.
Shit.
We'll figure it out.
So, not exactly sure where to start it.
What is today's topic and how did we come up with it?
I mean, today's topic is substance use and abuse. Episode 5. Actually, made it to episode 5. Shit. Where do I even start? It's hard to say because when I was younger, I really wasn't aware of having like mental health issues or problems or anything like that.
Right.
When I was younger, it was just like going with the flow, see what everybody's doing and be a part of it. When I was younger, I didn't like being out of the loop. I think that kind of fell in with my sleeping habits and whatnot, because anytime there was like a kickback or something, I would literally lose sleep just to be at the kickback, and I would be there from about right when it started till about when it ended. Like I like seeing the whole deal. It just being like, okay, I didn't miss shit. Ain't nobody gonna talk about nothing tomorrow, and I wasn't there to see it.
That's
Because
dedication.
nothing would piss me off more than being somewhere. I was like, all right, I'm gonna head out. I go home and fucking go to school or hang out with somebody or go to social media, and they're like, yo, this shit fucking happened, this, and that. I was like, bruh, that happened right after I fucking left. How did I miss that? So, yeah, that was just me when I was younger. And when I started smoking weed, and I've never done anything else, it's just been weed besides shrooms. I started smoking, I think, when I was 18. So it's been a solid 10 years that I've been smoking weed. And time has just been just fucking going. When I was smoking, I mean, I don't know about other people, but for myself, it was unintentionally an escape. It felt great just to be high and not really give a damn. Every time I was high, it was like I was never bored. I always found something to do, whether playing a game, watching the YouTube shows, videos, just anything. And if I was just kind of sitting around not doing much, I would find something to do. I was never ever bored, ever. And now that I've been sober, my eyes have opened up to everything that I've been, I guess, technically running away from. Just not thinking about what's bothering me in that moment. Excuse me. And just vibing with myself. The one thing that I liked is here to say hi, support, but gotta go in a bit. Appreciate it, bro. I don't know. It's, I guess, because there's been times, like, it hasn't been a solid 10 years that I've been smoking weed. There's been times, like, whenever I have to switch jobs or something, I'd be sober for at least a month or two. And besides that, every time I would be off for a bit, it was like, damn, world fucking sucks, yo. I have all these problems that I really don't want to deal with. And it's not really like life problems, it's more like self problems. Things that I've noticed with myself or dealing with people, being lonely, like relationship wise, being lonely friendship wise. I kind of felt like the friendships that I did have were kind of superficial because I wasn't really myself when I started these friendships. Most times. In high school, I was kind of myself. I had to like play the part because I was bullied when I was younger, so I felt like I had to be someone different. So the only time I was really myself was when I was at home, like with my brothers or my family. Now that I've been sober, I think it's been about a month and a half now. It's been fucking tough. I've kind of turned to drinking, but I've kept it like a mediocre level because I'm not much of a drinker. I don't really like drinking. But if there's a time to where I'm like, yeah, I just really don't want to deal with being this fucking bored, I'll go grab like a beer or something and drink it and be like, cool, I'm buzzing. I'm cool. But besides that, like compared to how I used to smoke weed, I would smoke it like 2 to 3 times a day. Like as soon as I started feeling like I was coming down, I would just smoke and be like, cool, I'm chilling, and find some shit to do. And now I'm just kind of going throughout my day. Everything's on my mind all the time. And my only distraction is like games, which fucking have been pissing me the fuck off lately. Especially the competitive ones, because I don't even want to get into it, but if anybody plays competitive games, they know what the fuck's up. That shit is fucking annoying. But besides that, it's videos. Usually watching other streams, because like funny shit be happening and whatnot. So that's kind of like my escape right now. But what I'm worried about is going back into work and being sober. Because that, to me, being around a lot of people is like hella anxiety. I mean, being around one person is like bad as it is, but being around a bunch of people, especially people I don't know and who are gonna be like new co-workers and whatnot, I guess I kind of just spilled the beans, but that is the surprise. I go in Monday, do my paperwork, do my drug test, and then I find out if I'm starting next week or the week after at the new spot. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm worried about, because in my other places, I'd be sober, I'd get hired, and then as a celebration, I would smoke. But yeah, I got the job, chilling, and now I can't just do that. I'm gonna be going to the job and being like, all right, I'm gonna celebrate with a drink, and I have to just take in all these emotions and all these triggers and whatnot, just head on. And what I'm worried about is dealing with not just the customers, but my fellow peoples. What's up, God Grind? Yeah, just dealing with my co-workers and with the customers. The customers, it's like easy, because it's like a real quick. They come in, what you need, all right, good to go, I'll give you a call, all right, see you later. The co-workers, they want to get to know you. I don't like people knowing me. I don't like people knowing me personally. So I already know that's what's gonna happen because it's happened at every other job that I've had. You froze, Jazzy. It's happened at every other job that I've had. And that's my main concern right now is going into it sober and staying sober and trying to balance I guess my thoughts with not taking them too serious. I mean, I have ADHD, at least I think I do, and my mind is fucking, it is going like 1,000 miles an hour all the time. So when I used to smoke, or when I was smoking, it chilled me out a lot. Like my mind wouldn't go crazy. It was easier for me to focus on just one thing. But now, no matter what I'm doing, everything's a temporary distraction. Like if I'm watching a video on YouTube, I'll probably be captivated for a little bit. As soon as something gets a little bit boring or just like I'm uninterested, I'll go to my phone, I'll boot up a game real quick, play a match. And then I'll get off, go back to the video. I get bored or something, I go back to my game on my phone, start playing it, and then I go back to the video. So that's what I'm worried about, being at work and not being as chill as I used to be. Because another thing that I've noticed too since I've stopped smoking is I'm more aggressive, and I don't like that because that's part of the reason why this happened. I broke my own arm. So to me, being that person with so much rage just brings back the memories, and I try to restrict myself because there's a lot of times, especially when playing these competitive games, when I just want to punch the shit out of my screens. Like I just want to sock them straight on because I'm sitting right here when I'm playing it, but I always resort to this the arm of this chair right here and just try to keep it contained. But that's one thing I don't like, is I'm more aggressive. I thought it was like, you know, when people have withdrawals and shit, they could be more aggressive. If these are withdrawals, they've been going on for a minute, but I don't think that's the case. I think I'm just going back to my old ways, because with the rage and whatnot, I never really contained it. I just told myself I shouldn't be doing that shit, and then I just stuck with smoking weed, and smoking weed kept me chill. Like I'd just be chill, kind of carefree, not too much careless, but just carefree. Like if I didn't have to concern myself with it, I wouldn't concern myself with it. Like if I was playing the game and it pissed me off, I'd be like, fuck it, I'll play something else or I'll do something else. But now it's, I'll play a game, and because I've lost, I want to play to win. So I piss myself off by continuously playing it because I know what's gonna happen. I just have hope that it could be better. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that kind of stresses me out. The fuck just happened? That's one thing that kind of stresses me out, is being back at work and not getting irritated with small things, just trying to be like woosah. It's not that serious. But that's been my struggle so far with being sober. I think I won't be 100% sober, but I want to at least not do anything for a few months so I can just get used to me as I am sober and dabble in it here and there. It's like a bit of relaxation or a time to just like let go for a bit and just sit with my thoughts. Because one thing that I did like about being high was I was a lot more creative when it came to like beats or anything like that. And that's something that I kind of want to tap into, but I want to tap into it in a smart way, not just be high all the time, be like, oh, this sounds dope, but I'm not gonna do shit about it because it's cool, but I'm not gonna put in that much effort. I don't, because my issue has been, because I've told you plenty of times, I'm sober. I'm gonna be sober for a minute, and then I go right back to it. But when I end up going back to it, it's more of I want to experience it again because it's been a while, and then I convince myself that I should probably just do this every day. I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, it makes me chill. It's cool. Makes my days easier. Excuse me. One thing I noticed is that I was super lazy. super lazy. Like I never wanted to do anything. It was too late to do anything, no matter what time of the day it was. I woke up 11 o'clock. It's too late. My whole day is fucked up. I can't do shit. It's too late. I can't go get breakfast. I can't go and run errands. It's too late. I'm not feeling it. So then I'd use that as an excuse to not do anything all day. And then when it comes to the end of the day, I'm like, I've been chilling here at home all day, and I still haven't taken a fucking shower. And it's like 12 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. So I'll take a shower, and it's the same fucking cycle again. Take a shower, 1 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep, wake up, 10 or 11, too fucking late in the day. And it's just the same shit. And I didn't like that about myself, of how lazy I was getting. And I never really realized it until I stopped. Because when I stopped, I was like, there's a lot of shit I could be doing right now. I'm just not doing it. Cleaned up my room for once after months. It just felt good. I just had my room be clean, and I just felt like I was productive. Actually did something. So it was a good feeling, but besides that, it's still really tough to not let my mind go places. And that's one thing I miss about smoking, is that my mind didn't go too crazy. Like now I think about everything. Like how the world is right now, as in the way people act, the government, the United States as it is right now, people that I know, what my friends think of me, because I don't really talk too much anymore. I really keep to myself. My Instagram, I've been MIA on that shit for a minute. Not really MIA, but I just haven't posted anything to it really, like on my actual feed, not the stories. My parents, I just try my best not to be rude, but my mind's going so fast that like I'm thinking of what I'm gonna say, how they're gonna respond to it, and if it's appropriate. So it's like I'm thinking of something and it's bouncing around, and then I say it, and then I kind of wait for a response. Depending on the response that I get, it's okay. I either said something I wasn't supposed to say, or they really don't give a damn about what I said, or what I said they can't respond to because I didn't leave it like open. You know what I mean? It's just like straightforward. And that kind of ties into one of my relationships. She actually told me, she said, "You text weird." And I'm like, I wish you could explain it to me so I could change it. And every time I text somebody, I proofread it like 50 times to make sure that if I was sitting right in front of you, how would I say it? And because I proofread it, sometimes I don't even respond to people because I don't know how it's going to come off. I don't like texting somebody and they don't know how to respond. Because to me, like some people will send me paragraphs. And to me, I'll look at it, everything. So, okay, should I respond to each and everything? Because if I do, it's going to look like I'm doing bullet points for the paragraph and responses. Or do I just kind of say something and sum it up with everything? But if I sum it up, it's going to seem like I didn't really give a damn about what they said. I just kind of like took a lasso and was like, all right, here's the summary of the answer right here. So
That's definitely a ton of anxiety.
yeah, oh, I have a lot, and I've thought about what you said about how we were brought up as kids. Not we, but like me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
How basically we were whooped and stuff, but I don't want to say that that is the reason, but it does play a huge part from the way I seen it, that because we were whooped, it was like anything that we did that was wrong, we'd get whooped for it. So it made us second guess everything that we did. So, and that's literally what I do. Everything I do, I second guess it. And sometimes I go with that second guess because I feel like my initial thought is probably wrong. And sometimes my second thought is probably wrong. Most times.
Well, and then you had like that girl you dated feed into it, and then like your friends that don't respond to you feed into it, and your brain is gonna take that as like, see, I knew it. Like, It's just evidence, right? Even if you have a bunch of evidence against it, our brains look for things to support what we already believe, whether that thought is right or not.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for our brains than, oh my God, like I believed this whole time and now it's wrong. Like our brains don't like.
Yeah.
So
And
that's hard. It's a lot.
I think the other thing that comes with that too is that I'm also open to possibilities. Like maybe my initial thought isn't right because I had this perspective, and then I seen something that was like, you know what? Maybe I should approach it differently because this kind of makes a little bit more sense. And I don't know if that goes along with what we were already talking about, but I think that kind of ties into our last podcast, the last episode that we had, where we were talking about like diversity and other opportunities and things like that.
Right, but in like I mean, at least from what I've learned about my brain too, like my thought process was the same. And I was like, it's not a bad thing. It just like I like to consider all my possibilities. And my psychiatrist is like, that's ADHD. And I'm like, no, it's not. But it works. And he's like, I have it too, don't worry. And I'm like, oh. Like the whole time I've just been like, I just want to know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently normal people don't do that.
They don't think about everything.
No.
They kind of just act on it.
Uh-huh. Whatever like feels right or suits them or matches how they feel, they're just like, cool, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna do. And then I've also noticed that people that don't struggle with anxiety or ADHD are more likely to just like go with the flow of what other people want. When you have like ADHD, it's like, no, I'm right. Like you need to see it my way. And it's like that stubbornness that turns into anger.
Yeah.
Normal people don't do that either.
Okay. Another thing that my homies brought up the other day, my twin homies, they said that someone did a study and not everybody has a voice in their head that kind of narrates or tells them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's really weird because I've always had like another person. Now, I won't say person, but my subconscious or conscious, however you want to refer to it, is like before you do something, you kind of tell yourself what you're going to do. And when I heard that there's people that don't actually have that, I thought it was weird as hell because, like, how do you go about life? You think of it and do it? Like, you don't think twice, like, maybe this ain't a good idea or something along those lines.
Some people, we were talking about this in a training too, and it blew my mind because some of us learn linguistically, which is language. Like we have to hear it, we talk through it, that's how we process information.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are like that, but they don't talk things through. They process things in pictures or like imagery. And I was like, what? And there's a couple others that I can't think of right now, but it was just so strange to me that there are people that process things in images instead of words, and it just confused the hell out of me because I'm like, there's like 13 Jasmines in here all fighting over what decision we're gonna make today, and some people just get to look through like a little picture book like, what's today gonna look like? And I'm over here with the fucking council fighting over who gets to make the final call.
Yeah, that's some odd shit.
Yeah,
And
you don't know what you don't know.
sometimes I wish that it was that way because I think too much about other people and my surroundings. Like I said before, I kind of feel like I'm not like I'm on a TV show, but like I'm always being watched, everything that I do, just because of my stature and who I am. And like the other day, it was yesterday or the day before, I went to go buy some t-shirts in Indio, and the way they did it, you can't just walk in anymore. They have a gate, and unless you need to browse, you buy everything right there at the gate. You just tell them what you want. So I was expecting a quick transaction because I don't like being in a conversation or anything for too long. Like I like to do everything quick. And when I went to go get it, this chick was just kind of like sort of making conversation, and I kept like, I wasn't trying to be a dick, but I was making it short, just like, yeah, true, yeah, just not really responding, just kind of having this like whatever, and she kept going, and I'm like, I've literally been standing here for 15 minutes just conversating with this woman. And all I came here for was to pick up 6 shirts and go home. That's all I left my house for. That was it. So I'm sitting there and we're just like talking and talking. And the sun was in her face. So it just made it like even weirder. Because I was like trying to block it, but she kept moving. And she eventually just stood off to the side. And she wouldn't just look at me. She would like look for a second and look away. I'm like, man, is there anybody gonna come up and buy some clothes or something so I could just walk away from this conversation?
Oh, poor girl.
There was nothing wrong with her. Like, she was cute and everything, but to me, like, I'm not interested in anybody right now because
Right.
I don't think I am. I don't want to say I'm worthy for a relationship. I just don't feel like I'm ready for one. Like, if I started a relationship, there'd be too much stress and too many things I need to think of while being with this person. Because I don't want to seem selfish. I don't want to feel like I'm taking up space and whatnot. And having expectations be there that don't need to be there.
Right.
So she was talking, I wasn't thinking about it like that. I didn't realize it till the end of the conversation. She was like, nice to meet you, and what's your name? And I told her my name, and I was like, thought she was just talking because I said I used to be here. I wasn't here for about 2 years, because it started off just talking about the spot and how they're going to be closing it down. That's how it started, and then it just kept going and going. And yeah, afterwards I was like, I mean, I was cool. We had a little conversation, but
Took you like 30 minutes.
yeah, it just, as cool as the conversation was, I didn't really want to have it. I was cool without it.
Right.
But,
And it makes sense too if you're feeling like, I mean, without smoking, you're feeling extra triggered, right? Or not like extra triggered, but just extra responsive
yeah.
to triggers because it's there's no buffer. So, but I'm kind of curious, like what, because there have been other times where you've like tried to stop smoking at least for a little while, outside of applying for jobs and stuff. So I don't know, what do you feel like, what kind of started you this time? Like what triggered the decision this last time?
It was 2 things. I had gotten sick. I don't know what kind of sickness it was, because I've had it 3 times in the past, I think like 2 or 3 months. And it's this thing that happens with my throat. And I want to say it's from vaping, to where it kind of starts from one side, it gets sore, and it kind of goes over to the other side, and then it goes away. And that's all it does. And when I was sick, or at least felt like I was sick, my throat was really bothering me, but I was still vaping anyway. And my doctor had told me when I mentioned it to her, she said, you should stop. Somebody I know is going to come out with some research that they've done about the long-term effects of what it does. And she said that the heat that the little coil generates is not good for your throat, but whenever you're vaping, you don't feel the heat. It feels cool because of all that vapor. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just stop and see what happens. Because I don't know if you heard of like cobblestone throat, where you have like a bunch of little bumps in the back of your throat, and they say it's from nasal drip, but I never had nasal drip. And when I stopped vaping, they started going away. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good sign. And I figured, yeah, it was super weird. And I figured if I'm going to stop vaping, I might as well stop smoking. Because vaping has made my breathing kind of tough. Like, there's been times where I vape, and then I exhale, and I'm like, shit, can't really get enough oxygen. So I have to kind of, like, breathe a few times and be like, cool, I'm good. I used to ignore it. But recently it's kind of like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this is pretty fucking stupid. And then when it came to the weed, there's been times, like, I don't want to call it an anxiety attack, but I try to go to sleep, and then my heart's like, nah, not right now. Ain't gonna happen right now. Just ridiculous. And I didn't know how to handle it, so what I would do was just, Like I'd be so high that I'm tired, but my heart's beating too fast. So I could not wake up tomorrow. It would have
Right.
me stressing out. So I kind of just lay in bed, just trying to calm down, think about something, play a game on my phone, watch a video on my phone or something, and then eventually fall asleep. And whenever I'd wake up in the morning, I'd always be groggy. I never felt like doing shit, and it was just the same thing every day. So I told myself, if I'm gonna stop vaping, because it's fucking up my throat and my lungs, I might as well stop smoking because it's gonna also help my lungs. But at the same time, it has these other side effects that kind of outweigh what it used to do, which is just make me feel chill and relaxed. It would kind of it would stress me out on top of the stress that I already had. It was just like a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
So
Was
that's
it like the paranoia that comes with
yeah.
smoking?
So when anytime I was high, I didn't like seeing anybody because I didn't know how to like talk to people without seeming like I was high
Yeah.
and bringing too much attention to myself. Excuse me.
Right.
So like if I smoked and all of a sudden I got hungry, I didn't have any food here. I would go to the drive-through, but I would only go to a spot to where I know they do not want to conversate, and it's kind of dark. So, I mean, my window's already dark as shit, but I want it to be to where when I pull up to the window, I don't have a light fucking blasting my face. So, I'll go to a spot to where they didn't have that, get my food, and then just shoot home. Or if I was here and I had food in the kitchen, and my parents were in the living room, I wouldn't leave my room. I would just stay in my room until they go to bed, and then I go and get something to eat. Part of that's because I just didn't want to be in a conversation when I'm high because I'm thinking about them thinking that I'm high, and I'm thinking about other shit while they're talking about something, but I'm also thinking about what they're saying. There's just a lot of shit going on. So that would just make my anxiety go up to where it's just like, all right, I'm trying to exit as fast as possible so I can go back to my comfort zone.
Right.
So it just, from what it used to be like a cool time to just chill and relax. It kind of came into, this is a part of my lifestyle now, and it has side effects to it that I don't like.
Yeah.
So either I can continue doing it and dealing with these side effects, or just get off of it because I don't really need it.
Right. Which, I mean, you said you started at like 18 too,
Yeah.
which makes it a little hard. And we kind of talked about this last time. If you start using substances before your brain is done developing in your mid 20s, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get addicted in the first place. And then when you're ready to stop, if you're ready to stop, it's going to be much harder because your brain literally developed with the effects of that substance in it. And so there's now like versus if your brain finishes developing, you don't use any substances and your brain just does whatever it wants to do, and then you use a substance, your brain has fully formed functioning without that substance. It's not that hard to put back down and just like walk away from, because your brain doesn't have this like I need it thing going on.
Makes sense.
And when you're younger, it's obviously going to be harder because if your brain was developing from 18 to like let's just say 26, and for a big chunk of that time your brain always had the effects of smoking, and so it was used to like, okay, well, this is where I get these feelings from, so I don't have to produce those hormones myself because we're getting it from an outside source. Then when you stop, the depression and the anxiety hit like a bag of rocks.
Yeah.
And your brain like doesn't have the chance to sort of recover as easily because you're older now and it's not actively developing. So it's going to be a struggle, but also listening to you talk too. And I mean, we've talked about you feeling depressed, but now I'm wondering, is it depression? Or was it really the effects of just having too much THC in your body and making you lazy? And then the laziness led to that like lack of interest in normal activities that you see with people who are depressed. And did those two things kind of like turn themselves into this cycle of I'm depressed, so I'm gonna get high, but then when I'm high, I don't do anything, so then it makes me feel like I'm depressed because I'm not doing anything. So to fix it, I'm gonna get high, and then it just goes in this like,
I think they kind of went hand in hand. You mentioned it a long time ago, um, that smoking weed could actually make you depressed. I heard what you said, but I didn't agree with it at
you
the time.
listen.
Yeah, at the time I didn't agree with it, and now it's kind of like a mixture. Like, yes, I'm still depressed, but as good as it made me feel, it also made me more depressed because I didn't have the angst, the drive to do anything. Like, I wanted to just be home. I wanted to just do nothing. I wanted to keep my mind occupied. Uh, so that kind of just like here's depression, and then it just stacked right on top of it,
Yeah.
right on top.
But
So
then it covers up the anxiety. So it was like you had to pick what you wanted to be dealing with.
yeah,
And sometimes depression's, I don't want to say easier, but
it's more manageable.
yeah, because anxiety, like especially that heightened anxiety, is so uncomfortable. It's like
Mm,
somebody took a ball made out of nails and needles and just dropped it in your chest. And every time you move, it like pokes you in 10,000 spots. Like that's what anxiety
I've
feels
never
like.
felt that before, but
Bro, that's my whole ass body. Let me tell
my
you.
my anxiety is just like a, I don't know, my body gets kind of cold, and
Hmm.
then I'm like self-conscious of everything,
Okay.
like everything, where my eyes are at, how my stance is, just my mannerisms, what am I doing.
Is it more
um
related to how like people will perceive you? Is it more of like a social anxiety?
the anxiety that I have, yeah, it's social, definitely social. If I'm by myself, I'm cool. um
Yeah.
I don't like people in my room. I don't know if that's a part of that. uh yeah, just anytime I'm in my room, I don't want to call it my safe space, but this is my chill space. Like, I don't have to
Right.
worry about shit. I'm just in here.
Right,
Um,
right.
except for like if somebody's standing by the door and listening to what I'm saying. That's the only other thing that I'm thinking of. Like, while I'm here streaming, that's the only other thing that I'm thinking of, is if someone else is on the other side of that door listening.
You gotta
Um,
log in like the rest of us.
but that just goes to show, like, when I'm here, I have less things that my mind has to worry about. But when I'm
Of
out and
course.
about, like, as soon as I step out of my room and out that front door, I'm thinking, are there any neighbors outside? Do they see me right now? I'm gonna start my car. It's about to be loud as shit. If somebody hears that, they're gonna come, or they're gonna look and see what it is. If they are, I probably need to hurry up and hop in this car so they don't fucking stare at me. But I'm not like rushing to the car. Like, I'm just kind of striding, but it's shit that I'm thinking of as I'm walking to the car.
Right. It's
And
still
as
there,
I'm
yeah.
driving, it's part of the reason why I have tinted windows. Is because I don't want people to fucking look at me when I'm in the car.
Hmm.
Uh, I just like driving and not having to worry about people looking at me, especially when you have a fishbowl of a car. Like, there was a time where my Charger didn't have AC, so I had to leave it at the dealership, and they gave me a 300. No, it wasn't a C. It was a 300S, and it had no tint at all. That was awkward as fuck, cause like you be driving, and some people, like, it's a nice car, so they'll look at it, and it's just like, what are you supposed to do? Just look and smile? It's called the eye thing. Like, someone compliments you on your eyes, like, you can't ignore them. What do you say? Thank you. What do
Just
you
lean
do?
back in your car, put your seat back, like.
One of us. Um,
Yeah, but I wonder too, like, I mean, and we don't have to get too into this because today's supposed to be about substances and we're jumping all over the place, but
yeah.
I can't tell if that's like, is it true social anxiety just that you just have, or is it from being bullied, like a form of trauma? Um, there's so many things that can come from, and that's why I'm like, I mean, and for me too, I guess, like, just to kind of touch base on it, there was a good chunk of time when I was in my master's program, um, one of us, uh, there was a point of time, like in my master's program, where I was just so overwhelmed. Like, not only did I not know I had anxiety, I also did not know I had ADHD. I was also in classes full time on top of working 2 to 3 days a week for 10 hours on top of an internship that was 8 hours,
That's right.
not including the hour and a half drive to get there and the hour and a half drive back home. Also, not including my intense refusal to skip a gym day, which was an extra 2 hours, 5 days a week. And then I had to squeeze homework in there somewhere. So I literally had like the worst anxiety provoked insomnia of my life. And so I don't like melatonin. My body does not like melatonin if I try to take it. Um, I tried a high amount of CBD. It worked one night, and then my brain was like, "That's cute. Finish it." Um, I I used to have like when I had more time, I would do yoga right before bed for like an hour, and then I would drink hot tea, and then put my phone down, and then read a book till I fell asleep, and that was phenomenal. That was the best sleep of my life. But
Mm.
I don't have 2 to 3 hours a night to do this whole bedtime routine, so I started using like edibles, really small dose because I don't like, I've never done like drugs. I've never smoked anything in my life. My body does not like anything. Um, I'm so sensitive to it. So I could take like 2 to 5 milligrams and just be done for like 12 hours. My body's like, and I remember getting to the point where, and I would cleanse my body like when I didn't have school, or if it was like the weekend and I didn't have to get up at 7 o'clock for class. um, I would do little cleanses here and there because I really just felt like ashamed, I guess, that I had to go that route. At the same time, like I had literally tried everything else, and my body was like, "You done? Because I'm gonna win." And it just, I don't know. And then when it got to the point where I was considering, like I was already tired and I knew I could probably fall asleep on my own, but I was like, maybe I should take it anyway just in case. That's when I was like, no, ma'am, that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going down that route. And I wouldn't let myself, and I'm very proud of my ability to do that because I also was very, like, I'm very particular about what goes in my body anyway. I stopped drinking soda when I was in seventh grade. Like, what
Damn.
middle schooler gives a shit? And I was like, you know what? I drink too much soda and it's not healthy for me, so I'm gonna stop. And like, to this day, have not turned back. Occasionally, I've had like a Sprite here and there if I've been ridiculously hungover, which has been like 4 times in life, maybe. Um, Mostly in college. But other than that, like, I don't drink or crave or want soda, so I've always been really health conscious like that. So that was a big blow for me. But I know what you mean about like having all those anxious thoughts and just swarming. It's like someone like kicked a beehive and put it in your head for
Pretty
safekeeping.
much, yeah.
Bees, don't kill bees, don't kill bees, have fun. And none of the bees can get out. They're just like
Yeah.
24/7. And so it did stop that, which was cool, but you're right, like there's all this like grogginess that comes, and sometimes weight gain if you're like just up and snacking just for shits and giggles. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's like this lack of motivation that comes with it, and then of course it can damage your friendships because you don't really care to put effort into anything. And one of the coolest things that I learned in school was that certain levels of anxiety are good. We're supposed to have anxiety because anxiety is what motivates us to get things done. It's when you have too much anxiety, then it starts to like mess with you. You can't sleep, you're having a hard time eating, whatever it is, like that's when it's bad. But a certain level of anxiety is good because if you have no anxiety, there's no pressure to get anything done. You're just like, fuck
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense.
Uh,
That definitely makes sense.
yeah, it tripped me out. I was like, I'm okay. And now that I've taken more like control over my mental health. And I was very much against medication management too. I was like, I don't let anything man-made or fake into my body. I am like, I don't eat fast food. I stay away from processed shit. I don't shop at grocery store. Like, I only shop at Trader Joe's because I know if I look at that label, I recognize every ingredient in every item at that store. That's how intense I am, guys. I even go fill up my own water. I don't drink fridge water. I go get my own. And the same goes for everything that goes on my body, because our skin is an organ too. And if I'm gonna like eat healthy, then why am I gonna put like garbage on top of me, but then refuse to put it in?
Yeah.
Anyway, super against it. But I was like, you know what? I'm running out of options. Like, my anxiety and my frustration tolerance is non-existent, and it's literally damaging every relationship I have. And I'm tired of it, so I got to do something else. So I started taking my medication, and I got very lucky, and I don't really have any negative side effects, which was great, because I know a lot of people, especially for ADHD, the medication is terrible. And people don't like taking it because it, like, especially kids, it turns them into like zombies, is what they all say. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not myself. I worked very, very closely and like micromanaged my psychiatrist. And now it works well. And it's just weird that a lot of that anxiety went away when I started taking anxiety meds. But then there was still like a bunch of something left over, and I could not figure it out. I'm like, maybe it's the trauma I haven't worked through yet, but girl, I don't have time to work through this trauma right now. I'm trying to take care of all these kids I work with. And then my psych was like, you have ADHD. And I'm like, where?
Bruh,
And
I'm sorry.
I told my
this
parents
fucking-
too, and they're like, you literally never had a problem with any of that stuff. Like, and I was a straight A student. I was the good kid. Like, I wasn't impulsive behaviorally. You know, I was very polite. I never acted out, any of that stuff. But apparently, for adult women, that impulsivity is more related to emotions. Because women are kind of taught, like, your outlet are your emotions, and boys, your outlet, the socially acceptable outlet for you is physical. And so that kind of is where it manifests. Like, and he sent me this 3-hour-long video. I was gonna send it to you so you could watch it and see if it made sense, but who makes a video about ADHD that's 3 hours long? Oh, you have a hard time paying attention? Here you go. It's 3 hours, and I'm so mad at him, but it's actually a really good video.
You actually sat through all of it?
No, I put it on while I was in the shower, and I passively listened to it for an hour, and I turned that shit off. I was like, I'll break it up into chunks. 3 hours.
That's a lot.
It is so, and it's an older video too. It's like this presentation by some psychologist, and I'm like,
Oh, like somebody's recording him presenting it?
yeah,
Yeah, no thanks.
it's painful. Very information dense, but painful. But like, on that note, now I'm working with middle schoolers and high schoolers, and almost all of them, especially my boys, they all smoke weed, and they like all have ADHD. I'm like, guys, I know it's like technically legal, not for you, but still, like, what is it? I see how it's helpful, but I see how it's harmful, and it's like, what are the pros and cons of this? And there's such a nasty stigma around taking medication, especially in the pothead community. Oh my Lord. I don't know how many times I heard, especially my ex, well, weed is natural and that's man-made and it's not good for you. And I'm like, okay, first of all, 90% of your food is man-made and unnatural, you bitch. So shut up. Like, there's
Very,
almost
very
nothing
true.
we have access to that is not man-made at this point, because we had to figure out how to manage this many humans and not that many natural resources.
Yeah.
First of all, we don't have to get in this argument today, guys. Just know that that's where I stand. the fact that, at least for me, I got all the positives I wanted and more than what I expected without those side effects, it was just it was just like a relief, right? And it's less expensive because my insurance pays for it. And edibles are expensive, guys. I don't know if you know this. But then a lot of people do what you do, which is like, okay, I'm going to be sober from smoking. And then they'll go to, or like smoking weed, and then they'll go to cigarettes or alcohol or a shit ton of caffeine. And it's like your brain is going to fight you because you've been making its job easier up until now. You've been getting these like happy, feel good hormones in your brain from an outside source. So your brain isn't used to making them for you.
Yeah.
Of course, it's gonna fight for it. Like, bro, it's easier if you do it, and I don't have to do it. You've gotten me accustomed to a certain style of living, and
Facts.
now you just want to rip me out of it. And but it's just like about knowing, like, what are the things that trigger me to use this substance? What are the pros of it? Because obviously, if there wasn't anything good about it, you wouldn't be doing it. So, what
Yeah.
are those things? But then, what are the bad things? What do I not like about it? And then go through that pros list, and for each item, like, what else could I do that would also give me this without the side effects that I don't like? And just like test those things out. But it's like relearning how to cope with life, and it's hard, you know.
That's
But
kind of how it
kudos to
is
you,
right
sir.
now. It,
I'm here.
that's kind of how it is right now. I feel like smoking, I won't say most of my life, but almost half.
Yeah.
I really wasn't paying attention to much as I was going through it. And now that I'm actually paying attention to things, I feel like I'm just not with it. Like I'm missing something. I'm missing pieces that I should have grabbed along the way, but I kind of just left them there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's too late. I mean, we're all young, or most of us are young that are here. I think. I don't even know who's here. But,
I see one old man.
but, yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, especially with this whole COVID thing. I'm trying not to think about it too much because of this whole COVID passport shit. And if it ends up being true, it's going to be a huge bummer. But besides that, I'd like to try and, I don't want to say be normal, but just be out and about, be able to conversate and mingle. Because even, yeah, that's what I'm saying. um, I just want to be able to conversate and whatnot,
Right.
like as I used to, instead of just being comfortable with just being here. Because there's has been plenty of times, and this is why I worry about what my friends think. Because there's been times where they hit me up and they're like, "Yo, let's go do this." At the time, it sounds like a great idea. The day comes, it's about an hour or two before, and I'm like, this anxiety is way too much. I cannot
Yeah.
be out and about right now with anybody because I don't feel it. And I tell
Right.
them like, you know what? Yeah, I can't come through this and that for whatever reason. And then after a while, they just stop hitting me up,
Yeah.
and I get it. I mean, I don't blame them for not wanting to hit me up because most times, like, I want to say 1 out of 10 times, I'll be like, yeah, I'm down, and actually fall through with it. I'll actually
Mm.
go somewhere. Or like before this whole COVID thing, Beer Hunter down the street was open, and
Mhm.
I think that was the last time we actually kicked it was at the Beer Hunter, uh, and it was a cool night. But then again, we were drinking and whatnot, so whenever you drink, you tend to not give a damn. You
Yeah.
just, you more relaxed and shit. But even in those settings, being around a bunch of people, it's like, let's hurry up and get these drinks going so I can start chilling. Uh, but even then, I wouldn't smoke when I'd go out and about. Only like if we were in a setting to where I was around people that I knew. That way I wouldn't think too much about what I'm doing. Because when I'm high and around people, I am super self-conscious. As
Mm.
opposed to just being around people when I'm sober. Um, hmm?
I just said interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just like it just kind of goes along with that that I guess, pothead mentality. Like when you're high, if someone sees that you're high, it's kind of like, like I know, I know, but let's just not talk about it.
It's weird that there's like almost, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but there's almost like a built-in shame.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Because when you're drunk, like you don't care, bro.
No, you don't.
Everybody's the homie, like we're all chilling. What? I'm so drunk. Who wants
Yeah,
a shot? When you're high, you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Don't look at me.
yeah.
I'll
I
tell
mean,
my
some people don't give a
girlfriend.
damn, but like others, like myself, like when we're out and about, like I don't want someone to look at me and see that I'm high because most times they're gonna treat you a little bit different. They'll either
Yeah,
call you out on it, and it's kind of like, why you got to put me on blast right now, or
yeah.
it's like they give you like a weird look and they're just kind of rude. It's
Hmm.
like all that's not necessary. I'm here to buy a fucking soda. Just give me a soda, yo. Don't be like that.
Maybe it's a stigma. Maybe that's what it is.
It could be, but I mean, I don't think we'll ever know. Everybody has their own perspective or feelings about it.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely a journey. I have good news and bad news at the same time.
what's that?
If your anxiety is social anxiety, guess what the most effective treatment is?
Putting yourself out there.
Exposure.
Yeah, it's not
It's
fun.
just like I feel like you have to separate your who you are as a person from how your brain is functioning. Like you're not the same, right? Like you're Deshaun, and then your brain when it's anxious is this other thing, and so you have the power to challenge it and be like, hey, not today, I know what you're trying to do, but forget you, fool, we're going this way. And your brain will adapt because the more you practice something, the stronger that
Internal,
connection in your brain gets. Huh?
internal screams. Cure walls. I'm sorry.
Sorry, buddy. You too, my guy. Um, Yeah, you almost have to look at your brain like something that you're trying to train. Like it's a puppy, and it's just like if you let it, it's gonna pee wherever it wants. But you gotta sit and know that you know better, and then just practice over and over and over and over. So your brain gets the point. Like, okay, fine, you're gonna make me do it this way anyway. I might as well just start off there. Um,
Well, my coping thing with social anxiety, because I have to deal with it every morning. Well,
yeah,
I used to, and I will have to again every morning before I go to work. I always have to put myself in the mood to deal with people and be around people. And usually, what I do to get by is I kind of just shut off like a part of my brain. Like, I have to deal with it anyway, so I'm just going to shut this part off.
mm,
And I don't know too much of how that affects me at work because I'm usually high before I go to work. So I have to see how it is being sober and going to my new job.
right.
But just putting myself in that mindset of being at work and not thinking about it too much, I kind of go back to how I used to be when I was in school. Like I was kind of putting on a front. Really,
Hmm.
I really wasn't myself. And yeah, it's I don't want to be this person. I want to just be me and not think too much about what I'm doing. And
Yeah,
even though I shut my brain off from like the anxiety part for the most part, I'm still conscious of what I'm doing while I'm around people.
yeah,
It's just not as intense. It's
right.
kind of like if someone throws you out into the Sahara and there's lions all around you, the fuck you gonna do? You got to figure some shit out. That's kind of how it is when I go to work. Like I have to go to work. I got to get this bread. I got to figure something out in order to get through the day. What do I got to do? And it's just trying not to think too much. But as long as I'm busy, I don't think about it too much. As soon as there's idle time, things start getting a little bit weird.
Mm, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and it's kind of hard too, because if you're, I mean, this is the way I kind of think about it. Um, my dad, my dad's doctor, because I come from a family of people that are like, if I'm not dead, I'm fine. And it's like, okay, well, thanks a lot. So my dad was like, he just had surgery on his shoulder a couple months ago, and he didn't want to take the pain medication. And they gave him like Percocet or something. I was like, hey. And he didn't want to take it. He's like, it's highly addictive. I'm not even gonna risk it. Like, I'd rather sit through the pain. It's not even that bad. And his doctor was like, just because you have the mental strength to tolerate the pain does not mean your body is able to tolerate the pain. And I say that that's true for mental health as well. Just because mentally you can block out something as intense as anxiety does not mean your body's not having a physical reaction to it.
Oh yeah.
You're just not paying attention. So, and it gets pretty dangerous. And this is why I really stepped up and was like, I'm getting control of my anxiety, because when you're highly stressed, and I think this is especially true for minority communities, especially the Black community, because we're just constantly in a state of stress. It just is something we were born into, so we know how to tolerate it, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
And then you add other things on top of it, like anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. And I fully believe that that's why a lot of like Black men and Black women and Hispanic men and Hispanic women die so early. Part of it could be cultural, part of it could be genetic, part of it could be diet, but I think the rest of it is stress, because when your body's overwhelmed, you're in fight or flight mode. Your body is producing a ton of cortisol, which is our stress hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And cortisol in your body for long amounts of time and in high levels literally damages almost every function your body had. It's like you're breaking yourself down from the inside.
Shit.
Look it up. Today's vocab word is cortisol. Brought to you by fuck you, I'm your body, but I'm gonna kill you anyway. It's intense, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that to myself. Just because I feel like I can tough it out and work my way through it, and I can, and sometimes I'll need to, but that doesn't mean I have to hold myself to that standard all the time, especially if it's literally killing me and we're not talking about it. Like, where is this conversation at the doctor's office? Nowhere.
Of course not.
Where's this conversation? Even a lot of therapists. Nowhere. Teachers. Court of who? You know what I mean? It just like, I was in school like, why the hell are we not talking about this? And everybody's stressed, especially our generation and the ones under us, because we have so much on our plates all the time that it's like watch our life expectancy start to drop. And it's sad, but it's true. Like, no wonder everybody's smoking weed, because we're trying to keep ourselves alive, bro. Our bodies are like, hey, I don't really like that all these stress hormones are hanging out. So if you could fix that, that would be awesome. And we're like self-medicating. But the bad thing with that is there are some nasty side effects, and you could be treating your anxiety in a way and giving yourself depression or other health problems, depending on like how bad your munchies are or what kind of stupid decisions you make when you're high, or
even your lungs. Shit.
Bruh.
Literally smoking smoke. Inhaling smoke, I should say.
And your throat?
Yeah, my shit was bad. I'd have like coughs here and there. My throat would always be like dry and scratchy. But I was just really ignorant to my health. Like, fuck it. These are the side effects of it. Fuck it. I mean, I like vaping. And vaping was more of it was a replacement for smoking. Because I used to smoke Black and Milds and, what's it called? Swishers. I used to just smoke them straight. But then vaping came out. I was like, shit, you get flavors. You don't get the smell in your hands. It doesn't stick to my beard. It's not like a dry taste in my mouth. Like, it's good. It's nice. So what started as a replacement came to be like an anxious habit. Anytime I wasn't doing anything, I had to vape. If I'm in the car driving, as soon as I stop at a light, I vape. I vape and I vape and I vape. Light turns green, I put it down, start driving again.
Right.
If I was out and about having a conversation with somebody, there was like an awkward part or I didn't know what to say, I would just vape or something like that. And it was just more of like a habitual thing that I was doing. It no longer served its purpose of as a replacement for this. It was more like I'm seriously fucking myself up, as opposed to having one or two Black and Milds or Swishers a day. I'm doing like 600 puffs a day on
Yeah.
this little device.
Right.
So that's part of the reason why I stopped. But it never really served a solid purpose for like anxiety. It was just
Yeah.
like a little fill-in.
Well,
You were gonna say?
I was just gonna add the thing about smoking and the reason so many people get addicted to cigarettes is not necessarily the nicotine content. That's part of it. But the thing about smoking that is more addicting to our brains is the oral fixation.
Yeah.
It's that habit of having something in your mouth. And it's a phase that we go through when we're babies. That's why you see like 1-year-olds putting everything in their mouths, because actually the part of our body that has the most nerves in it is our lips
Yeah.
and our tongue. And so because it's so sensitive, because there's so much feedback from whatever we put like in our mouths, our brain like seeks that more. So if you can, that's why they came up with the patches, which I digress. But once you can cut that oral piece out, it's going to be a lot easier to cut the nicotine out after you get rid of that habitual piece.
Yeah, I think as far as the nicotine part, I agree with you, because I don't feel like I'm addicted to the nicotine. It was more of just the habit of doing so. When I do stop, I do get like a headache for a night, but that's about it. It doesn't get to like, oh, I need my fix. It's just more like I miss this habit that I'm used to doing. I mean, it's a part of my lifestyle. I mean, I'd wake up, take 2 puffs, be like, shit, those are the best puffs of the day because it tastes good and it hits you like quick. Especially the Salt Nick. It's different compared to like the regular vape juice. It hits harder. So that was nice, or it used to be nice, but it was more like I don't know. It's hard to say that it was actually good because you would only feel it for a couple minutes. You weren't good for like the next half hour or an hour like you would, smoking a cigarette or a Black and Mild or a Swisher. You smoke those, you're good for a minute. The vape, it's like instant. As quick as you vape is as quick as it's about to go. And when you vape it all the time, you kind of lose the buzz. You just get the side effects, like nicotine poisoning. That shit fucks up your stomach. I can't tell how many times where I didn't realize how much I was vaping it, and then the next morning or later on in the night, I just feel like shit, like sick. And I knew it was from that, but I just convinced myself that it wasn't. Like maybe I ate something or something like that, but it was just stupid excuses to keep doing it to myself. It didn't make any sense.
Right. It's a good business model on their part. Like, hey, if we can give you immediate feedback, like if you get an immediate reward and then it gets out of you just as fast, you have to buy more. And that's what so much of this stuff is just a fantastic business model. And if you don't pay attention to things like that, it's just like, okay, like fast food, for example, like, yes, our bodies do like crave meat naturally, right? I guess, because, you know, back in the day when we had to hunt, we had to eat something as fatty as possible so that it was in our bodies longer, yada, yada, yada. Then you get fast food companies that are like, hey, brains really crave extra salt and fat and sugar. So let's just throw this in our meat and see what happens. And now everybody's like addicted to McDonald's, even though we know it's all garbage.
Yeah.
If you say it's not, you are a liar. You are a liar.
Any doubters?
It's trash. You know it's trash.
Bad.
But your brain craves it anyway. And that's what addiction is, where you know something is harming you in some sort of way, but you crave it and you put it in your body anyway.
Mind blown.
Yeah. So don't fall for it.
Mm-mm.
Tell those companies to suck it. And honestly, like, of course, it's harder to go like the healthier way, especially if you're not taught that at a young age. But it's going to save you a lot of money. It's going to save you a lot of headache. It's going to save you a lot of trips to the doctors when you're older.
Yep.
It's going to save your mental health in the sense that you can actually actively address what's going on in your body instead of covering it up, covering it up, covering it up till it erupts out of you. And then you're like, well, shit, where did that come from? And it's like, it was there the whole time. You could have dealt with it in little pieces, but you didn't want to.
Yep.
So kudos to you, sir, for taking on that challenge, because Lord knows it's terrible.
Thanks. It is definitely tough.
Yeah. But once you get through it, you're not ever, ever, ever going to lose the skills that you built right now. That's not ever going to leave you. That's the good part.
Yeah, it's definitely tough right now. Like, I mean, even as we're just sitting right here, I got a lot of shit going through my brain. As opposed to being high. Like, I mean, if I was high right now, it'd be like, yeah, I'm on camera and everything, but I probably wouldn't be saying shit because I'd be thinking too much about a response. I'll probably just listen to you talk the whole time. I'll just be a second face here on camera. But yeah, since I'm not, I'm thinking about everything. And you know me, I do not like being in front of a camera, so just being on camera is awkward as it is.
But look how pretty he is. No!
But it's hard in the process to stop, like with anything else. Yeah, when it comes to any habits, it's pretty hard. It is pretty hard. I don't want to say I'm addicted because I could stop. But at the same time, I think like I don't know if infatuated is the right term, but with feeling something else besides just normality. Like instead of smoking, I bought, it's not beer, but like Mike's Hard. I bought some of those. And I drink them here and there just so I could like step back.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
I mean, that's the tricky thing too about, because even with my ex, he was like very clearly a pothead.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got together and he was like, if you don't like it, I'm going to stop. And he did stop for a year. You know what I mean? So like, well, kind of. He mostly stopped for a year. And then at the end of that year, it was like, well, I want to smoke again. Like I proved to myself I could go without it. So obviously I'm not addicted to it. And that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what addiction truly is. People, you say, oh, he's an addict, and people immediately think like a crackhead on the streets trying to sell their children to go get drugs, or an alcoholic who drinks a whole handle of whiskey a day and cusses people out or beats his wife. You know, like extreme examples, which is like, because they're so extreme, that's what we gravitate toward. We're like, oh my God, what is that? But addiction is so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it could be anything that if you know it's not good for you and you're choosing to get it anyway, or sometimes you don't really want it, but you get it anyway. And that could be drugs, that could be food, that could be whatever. And if you're like, I'm not really in the mood for this, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's still an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of the like criteria for diagnosing a substance use disorder is just that you've built up a tolerance to it. So if now it takes more THC to get the same feeling that you had before, that's addiction. That's a criteria for it.
Yeah.
And people don't think about that. Like, oh, you know, I used to get buzzed off of like one beer and now I need 4. Like, it's part of the criteria, guys. You don't have to be a raging alcoholic to have an addiction problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for food. The same goes for, I'm not gonna say that here. Weed, cigarettes. I was gonna say video games. Don't set me on fire. I know we're on Twitch. In a sense. In a sense.
Video
And
games are
I
good
know
and bad. I see both sides.
if video games are keeping you from taking care of yourself, if they're keeping you from eating, if they're keeping you from seeing your friends, if it's keeping you from exercise and taking care of your body, it's a problem.
Yeah.
If you like to game and hang out with the boys, but you could turn it off to like go to work and then like go work out and eat and whatever, come back, you want to game again, like do you, bro. Do you. But the second you choose a video game over
anything else,
another important part of your life, and it starts to damage your work performance or damage your friendships or take away from your relationships, you might want to take a second. Oh, good. Sexy. My face, guys. Check me out. We almost made it. We were so close. I do have to log out in 15 minutes, so should we take questions?
Yeah, we can do that. I think it's a good time for whoever's here and either lurking or active.
Hey, lurkers. Who'd I call out? Who'd I offend today?
There we go. She's back.
Woo! It's 5G and I'm the only one using it.
Definitely a lurker. I feel you, bruh. I lurk too, yo. Sometimes I don't even know what to say, and when I do say something, I feel like, was it even worth the time? But any questions, or even any input, shit.
Experiences.
Yes, I'm curious about experiences.
G, 4.5 G.
What's your experience with addiction on both ends? On both ends. As far as like weed and drinking, or weed and nicotine, or I'm not sure what your question is.
Why do we have accents?
Hmm?
So why do we have accents?
I don't know. That kind of started like before my generation. My pops used to, or still does that with his brothers.
Oh God.
Yeah. Like when they're gonna say something stupid, they do like a weird little accent, some weird voice. Me and Mills, we definitely have that. Experiencing addiction or been with someone. Holy shit! Yes, I have.
What a can of worms.
Yeah. I got a story for this one. So me personally, I don't want to call it an addiction, but it basically is. Used to be addicted to weed. Just recently stopped, month and a half sober. It's something that I like doing because of how it felt, but I mean, I'm conscious enough to where if I don't need something, I don't have to do it. And it kind of, no, I know. I know. So for me personally, it's never been really bad to where my life is in shambles. Like I have fucked myself over. I had been with somebody, a drinker, like someone who liked to party and stuff, but I was also with like a legit alcoholic. The one that used to like drinking and partying, that was a really rough relationship, the worst one I've ever been in for like 2.5 years. The alcoholic, we were literally only together for like 3 months, if that. The first time we met, I didn't know it, but I could tell something was off. And she kind of seemed like...
I remember this girl.
Yeah. like, I don't know how to describe it, but when someone's drunk, you can kind of tell. But she carried herself okay, like enough for me to not really question it. I just kind of went with it, and we were at a Sonic, and she was like kind of slurring her words, but I was like, I'm not gonna pay too much attention to that because I mean it's like the first date, so we're just chilling. I just went with the flow, and then I met up with her again, and she seemed a little bit off again, and I'm like, what is the deal? So the more I was talking to her, she would say like, yeah, like you're really cute, and it's hard for me to talk to you, so in order to talk to you, I have to drink a little bit. And I'm like, that's weird, but okay, I get it. Liquid courage, cool, cool.
But all
So,
the time though?
huh?
All the time though?
Every time I went to go see her, yeah, she would
Mm-mm.
take some swigs and then we would hang out.
Oh, you gotta go.
So, anyway, um, the more we hung out, the the more she would drink. And then when I met her parents, her mom, she mostly spoke Spanish and she like knew enough English to have a conversation. But she was basically telling me like she does have a drinking problem, but I think it was like after a month we were like talking or together. She was like, since you've been around, she's stopped drinking. And I was like, that's good because I can tell. Like she seems happier and whatnot. But anytime we got into any conversation to where it was kind of like the happiness was turned down just a little bit, she would find a reason to drink, and then everything just fucking tanked. She would turn into like a complete, I don't want to call her that, but she was literally a bitch. She was so rude. She would call me by her ex's name, which was awkward.
Girl,
Yeah,
no.
like while we were intimate and anything like that, she would, yeah, it was weird.
Bye.
It was really weird. And I told her, I was like, there was one time I was like, what's my name? And she was like, you're stupid. And I was like, no, what's my name? And she said it, and I was like, that's not my name. She was like, stop
Ooh.
playing with me. But she was drunk at the time. And I was like, yeah, this is some hell. So in my mind, I'm like, if I can, this is my fucking savior mode. If I can get her to stop drinking and just to be sober and be solid like that, we'll be good. It never went back to that. Um, so there was a turning point in the relationship. It's kind of a little bit too much information, but it was a turning point. I'll try and make it quick. We had a good Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday. The game happened. She posted about us all day. I didn't post anything. She took that to heart and was acting weird. I went home to shower, change, play the game for a bit, and then go back to her house to stay the night. I asked her what's up. She didn't tell me. I left home, blew me up with text messages, told me the whole thing, and I was like, damn, I'm sorry. So I was like, all right, well, I mean, I want to post about you, so that's what I'm gonna start doing. She was like, don't do it now that I've said something. So I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, how am I supposed to fix this? So I did it anyway, and she didn't really pay too much attention to it. And after that, she started drinking more, and she was flirting with people like Snapchat, Instagram, and shit. And my dumbass again was thinking, oh, if I just be that person, then they won't do this. And yeah, kind of set myself in the hole again. And it got so bad to where she'd be drunk for days, not just the night, not just for the day, for days. She would just be out sleeping, and she had stashes of like alcohol everywhere. And I was even dumb enough to feed her addiction because she told me something that made me fear for her actual life. She was telling me that if she has like withdrawal so bad that it could kill her, and I'm like, fuck. And she sent me a video like explaining it. I'm like, I could see how that could be true. So we would literally sneak out from the house, go somewhere, pick up a drink, and then come back, and her mom's like already standing there like, where'd you guys go? It's like, fuck. Like, I don't want to be the enabler, but I'm legit the enabler. I'm not trying to be on blast right now. I'm supposed to be on good terms with you, not on bad terms. So we were like, think of a way to sneak it in, and we get it in, and then her mom knows she's drunk, and she already knows she stashes her alcohol. So she would look in all the hiding places. She'd find it, and then, God, I'm having flashbacks. They'd be screaming, yelling in Spanish, English, and basically she's calling her mom a bitch, and she said, "I don't fucking need you, this, and that." And I'm just sitting there like, what have I got myself into with this chick, man? Like, everything seemed so cute and perfect in the beginning, and then the whole world flipped. Not upside down, just fucking 180 degrees. Everything was different. And I don't know. I stuck with it because I'm just that person. If you're in something, you work on it and you fix it. And I guess I didn't know when to give up, and I just kept going. And it got to a point to where I forgot what happened. She was on another binge. I think she was going for like 3 days. And I bought her this like gold rose that was blue. It had a blue bud. And I bought it for her. But the situation that day was kind of weird. I was trying to make it a surprise, but she thought I was being sneaky for something else. And I popped up with it to show it to her. She was like crying, talking to somebody on the phone while she was drunk. And it was just a super awkward vibe. And I was like, you know what? I texted her. I was like, on some real, like, I don't think we can do this anymore. Like, we should probably end it. And she was like, yeah, I agree. I was like, cool. Like, start getting all my shit out of the house and whatnot. And I couldn't leave right away. So anytime she came off her binge, she was a brand new person. Happy-go-lucky. Didn't have a fucking care in the world. So when that happened, it was almost as if, like, I don't know how to put it. Like, somebody's in a relationship, they break up, and they're just doing everything they can to make themselves happy. That's kind of how it was. And it was super awkward. But besides that, the fact that she was addicted to alcohol, I seen like I can't say the worst, but I seen the very, very bad side of that kind of addiction. And you can't help them, they can only help themselves. And that's what I learned from that relationship. So no matter what I did, I could never make her or help her stop hurting herself in that way. She chose to do it no matter what. She would hide her shit everywhere. I mean, her mom's been trying to keep her from doing that for years. And what's a new boyfriend gonna pop in and do? Like, I don't know a damn thing. I don't know what to do. So that's my experience with someone else having that kind of addiction. Me personally, I've never been that bad with anything. It's just more of like ooh, this is nice. I'm gonna do it for a while. But yeah.
I think that's the sneaky thing though, because obviously it doesn't just start off where you're chugging bottles.
Yeah.
Or smoking your weight in weed every day. It starts off with that, hey, just try it, and it's like, cool, and then you could not want it for like a couple months, and then you're like, no, I liked that feeling, let me go back to it, and then it's an everyday thing, and then it goes from there, and people don't catch it early on. I don't have time to get into my story because it was like a year and a half of my life that I don't get back, but
I didn't realize I was talking for a while. That's my bad.
No, you're good. Your story was very helpful. Mine, I could complain about all damn day, but moral of my story is that if you meet somebody and you're like me and you are very anti-addiction and you do not want or have the patience to deal with somebody struggling through an addiction, especially when they cannot admit that they have a problem. Looking at you, people are like, weed's not addicting. I could stop if I wanted. Oh, but you haven't. Interesting. Sorry. I'm still processing.
Cool.
Yeah, if you meet somebody like that and they're like, oh, well, if we get together, I'll stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how sweet they are, and they mean well, and oh my God, because let me tell you something. When I got together with my ex, and he was like, oh, I've already stopped smoking, before we were even together, and I was like, cool, he made that decision himself, and then we got together, and then I was like, just so you know, like, I really don't like this. Like, this is a boundary for me. This is a deal breaker. And I feel incredibly strongly about it. It's different if it's like a couple times a year. For me, that's my maximum, a couple times a year. And it's like just at birthdays or whatever. Like, fine, do you, as long as you don't get crazy. But if it's literally like every week, every month, every day, um, I don't have the patience. So he stopped for a year and a half ish while we were together and swore up and down like we lived together. He would cook for me, like tried to be the sweetest thing ever. And look, I'm not smoking for you, and I love you, and I'm gonna take care of you. By the end of our relationship, he literally was like, I want to start smoking again. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, if you start smoking again, I can't be with you. And we've had this conversation several times. You know how I feel about it. I'm not budging. And I was like, does that mean you want to break up? And he literally could not give me a straight answer, meaning that I'm about to choose weed over you right now. No matter what I said, no matter how long we've lived together, no matter how many things we've done together, and that you're the only girl I've introduced to my family, blah, blah, blah. Because addiction is addiction, and it's a mental illness, and it does not answer to logic. It does not answer to willpower alone, without education, without processing what your triggers are, without finding new coping skills. The addiction will be there. And it doesn't matter if they can ignore it. Just because they're not telling you they're having cravings doesn't mean they're not happening. And if they're not doing the other work to heal from everything else, it is going to be too powerful to ignore one day. And it's going to take priority over the relationship, because addiction is just an incredibly powerful force. And it took me a long time to learn that, because I haven't struggled with addiction. So internally, like I was like fuck drugs. What do you mean? I didn't even drink till like college, guys. Like, and then I didn't even like it. I don't drink at all. I don't drink, I don't smoke, none of that garbage. It just doesn't suit me, right? Like, I get why people drink sometimes. Smoking weed, I mean, I could see it. I get it. Do you? But just like, not in a relationship with me. So, if you have boundaries, especially related to substance use, just like you and that girl, like, she tried, she wanted to, part of her wanted to stop to be with you. But if she's not doing all the other work it takes, because recovery is lifelong. Once you're in recovery from an addiction, you're never healed, you're never cured. You are always in recovery once you've struggled with addiction. And if you're not on top of yourself, or you don't see the point, or don't have the motivation, or you're really just not there yet, you don't even want to make a change yet, that's fine. Those are all stages of addiction, but just be aware of who you let into your life, and be aware of their ability to care for you, and take that seriously.
Care for themselves as well.
Well, right. If they can't take care of themselves, if they're not taking care of their own health and not taking that seriously, they don't give a shit about yours.
Yeah.
If your instinct is not to care for the body that you have to live in for the rest of your life, you don't give a fuck about somebody else's. I don't care what you say. You do not care.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Lies. They're all lies. I want every middle school girl to watch this episode, please. And high school. Because if somebody could have just told me this when I was young, and I was like, oh my God, but he wants to do it for me. It's so romantic. It's not romantic. It's stupid. If he wanted to do it that bad, he would have done it before you got there, period.
Yep.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. We out. That's it. Thank you
out.
for the question. That took 20 minutes for us to answer.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. So,
everybody who popped in.
We'll go ahead and close it out here. Thank you guys for stopping by once again. As always, unless she has a reason, we will be back next Friday at 7 p.m.
I'll be there.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. See you next week.
Knockout.
You win.